Motorboat? You play the motorboat? You motorboating son of a bitch, you old sailor, you.
Following program contains language and subject matter that you may consider unsuitable for children. Parental discretion is advised.
I'm going to pass the reins to Mr. Jackal, the new king of radio.
I think Jackal's Latino, I'm not sure, but he'll give it to you good.
The Jackal.
All right, everybody, we're back to Whoop Some Ass right here on PSN Radio, or radio to the layman's out there. Welcome, everybody. You're listening in on angelespino.com, SoFlo Radio, and PSN Radio once again. And this lovely evening has been brought to you by Ice Bear AC Inc. If you have a little issue this summer with your air conditioning, make sure you check out icebearacinc.com. It's a fabulous company. They're sponsoring the show, and by all means, when it's warm outside and you need it to be a little bit cold and your AC ain't working, call Ice Bear. Ask for Omar and Mariela. They'll hook you up. Those are my people. Tell them you heard it right here on Angels Inside the Jackal's Head. Now, with that said, thank you for all the people that are listening on both networks, and I see a lot on the relay here. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. My guest for the next hour is a gentleman that goes by the name of V. One letter. A very dangerous letter, according to some. So much so that he's become a targeted individual. Well, we're going to find out, because this is why, and you'll see this on video when I post this on YouTube. I am wearing my Superman hat because I want to be the defender of truth, justice, and the American way, even though I'm Cuban. Okay, let's be honest. I was born in Havana, but I'm American by corazon. That's heart for you Americans. And V is a person I've known for a long time. I've shared not Dirty Things, but other shows we've been on, and fine gentleman, a scholar, and somebody that I've wanted to talk to again for a bit here on the show, because I think that his story has not been covered enough. So, V, with that said, welcome to the show, my friend, and thank you for spending the next hour with me. How are you doing tonight?
Doing fine. It's great to be back. Yeah. One letter, V, that's all you need. I'm
now
not to get famous. I was trying to spread a message.
Why the letter V?
Well, so during my targeting, when I was getting the V2K, or the voice to skull, the NSA remote neural monitoring, BCI, brain computer interface, remote schizophrenia technology, they would hate it and complain if I watched certain things. And they went absolutely nuts while I was trying to watch V for Vendetta. It's like, oh, they hate this message. Oh, they don't want any for me to get any sort of rebellious spirit. They don't want me fighting against the system. They don't want me to fight against the mind control. Well, I happen to know I've had many insights in my past lives. One of those past lives, I was Guy Fawkes. So just it seems fitting, right?
Let me hold you up right there, because I'm agnostic. I don't practice religion. I do think there's a very strong possibility that we live many incarnations, meaning we don't just die and go to the collective. I even don't think that we're necessarily meant to just go to heaven and peacefully wander around as ghosts in a cloud, just Yay, we're eating candies and we're drinking champagne made from golden glasses for all of eternity. I do think that there's a very strong possibility where we are sent back, not only to Earth, but to many planets, to keep living existence by whoever the creator is. Because even though I'm agnostic, I do believe in there's a creator, and the creative mind that created everything has us to live existence. And I think it's done so because, we are all part of the creator. So this is, I believe, us living in existence in realities that the creator created for itself not to be lonely. Maybe, there's other reasons why. Some say maybe we're in a matrix, but I do think and I'm not being, I'm not trying to be funny here. I do think that there's a strong possibility where reincarnation is a strong possibility, and it might go time wise back and forth, where you could be right now in this timeline and be reincarnated 100 years in the past and live that time next instead of backwards. If that
Well,
makes any sense to you. Because time, remember, we perceive it in our way. But when, we get past space and time, it's a different ball game.
well, I know for a fact it exists because I'm back here again to fight evil. Hey,
Well,
I'm wearing my Superman underwear right now, so I can't show you that. But
no, please don't. I know you're on camera over here, so I promise one thing: I will not show you my underwear if you don't show me yours. How's that?
all right,
But for
all right.
the audience listening in, describe the underwear. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I might as well start an OnlyFans, right?
There you go.
You guys really want to see?
Oh no, no, I definitely don't want to be the only one to see it. Also, by the way, now let me ask you because I know you were outside the country for a bit. Are you back in the States, or what's going on with you?
Uh, yeah, I've been back in the States for a while. Since October of last year.
Mm.
I was in California. Now I'm up in Wisconsin. Uh,
California been much for you? Because it's a pretty messed up state right now.
I want to get the hell out of there before the summer came. That was for sure. It's great up here in Wisconsin. I think the hottest day we've had so far was like 80 degrees.
Yeah, yeah. Wisconsin is not bad. I actually did a couple sales for the car business in Wisconsin several years ago. I used to work in the auto industry before I broke my back in 2019, and about 5 years of my being in the business, I think it was really like 18 years that I sold cars. 5 of those years were on the road doing tent sales for major companies. It was for a company that me and my half brother worked for, and uh, and it was pretty cool. We got to see a lot of the U.S. just by twice a month going to a different tent sale for 2 weeks and then coming back, resting a few days, and then back on the road again. But those were the days, man. We made so much money. It was bizarre. But yeah, no, Wisconsin's very nice. Now, are you going to stay there permanently?
Oh no, I'm just here because it's summertime. Um, I have medical issues that require me to stay cool. Um, so I'm vaccine injured
Mm.
because I joined the military, and day one, before they even cut your hair, the first thing that happens is they sit you down and they jab you with 12 needles before they do anything.
Wow. Do they tell you what's in the needles, or they just
No,
stab you?
they just stab you. They don't tell you anything.
So, So they cut those beautiful golden locks you have there on your head, and then they stab you.
Right.
Okay,
Well, they stab you first,
doesn't
then
sound
they
good.
cut your hair. That's how
That's
important it
just
was to him.
the only term I could come up with that was used on Full House. How rude. That's
Exactly. And so I'm also a heat casualty, which means they ran me so hard without, water, my
right.
organs start to cook. So if I get too
And
hot,
this was in the military, right? This was the
this was
military.
in the military.
Okay.
Yes. So I'm vaccine injured and I'm a heat casualty. The vaccine injury already stops me from being able to regulate my body temperature. So on top of that, I have cooked organs. So I'd stay cool. I can't stand summer anywhere. Like without AC, oh, I would die. So
Yeah, you wouldn't do very well here in Florida or Nevada.
so basically, so I bought an RV, and
Oh, good times.
yeah, I'm basically just fixing it up so I can travel the country to promote my company. However, we could talk about that another time. I've got updates for you guys as far as
Oh,
the
okay.
targeting is concerned. So
But, I do also want to get to the website. You have that's being relaunched or redone.
CLBtalk.com,
Yeah.
Freedom of Speech Social Network. It is currently down because of well, we've
Is it maintenance or? Because I know at one point they got pretty
adding
large.
adding more features, adding more features, make the sure it has better functionality, and it's going to be relaunched here Saturday.
Oh, good times. Okay.
So the 1st of July, 2024, it'll be back up. So guys, get on there, make a profile. Use it as an alternate to Facebook because you can't say what you want on Facebook.
Hold on, V. Let me correct you there. It's fake book.
I call it bedbook.
We could go with that in the secondary term.
Yeah.
But pronouns, are important these days.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Or so the kids tell me.
Yeah.
What's my pronoun? I don't know, idiot.
Well,
in Wisconsin, and I'm sure that doesn't play too well, right? The whole pronoun stuff. Is that going well over there?
it's so
If you know what I'm asking here, wink, wink.
it's so quiet here. People mind their business. Although if you're out in public, people are nice. But you don't get a sense of any political anything going on here. It's just, for lack of a better term, it's just your classic normal white suburbia.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's what we call normal middle America.
Yeah. I'm here on the tallest hill in the neighborhood in a rich house.
There you go.
It barely survived the tornado last week.
Good times. Oh, you
Yeah.
survived. And you're still in the RV, so that's even better. I mean, you could have gone like Twister in the movie. And
Well, that's why I'm glad I'm in the basement. Nice and cold.
there you go.
So when summer's over, I'm going to head out and tour. So
Oh, there you go. Travel the good old U.S., huh?
a little college tour. Yeah, just hitting up businesses, town halls, colleges, things like that. Speeches, all that good stuff.
Gotcha. That's very good. Now you're going to say something before I mention the website. Do you want to expand on that?
Well, I've gotten further in my research, and I'd like to
Okay.
I'll update you guys from the last show I did. So I would hope that your listeners would go, actually pause this episode, find me in your archive the previous episode that I've done. Listen to that one first, and come back to this episode. if that's possible.
Not the live listeners, because that'll defeat the purpose. Wait till the
Oh
show
well,
and
right, right.
yeah.
If you're here live,
I
stay
don't.
on.
I don't want
You
my
are.
audience to like just drop down and be like, it went from like a couple thousand to like zero within like 5 seconds. Thank you, V. Everybody's like, but we gotta go listen to the old episode. V told us. V told us. Ah, cheapos. V told us. No, I'm
Well,
not calling you people out there cheapo. Relax, my peoples. I don't want to get the hate mail later.
well, so just to summarize, so last time on the show, I explained how the remote neural monitoring, the NSA's remote neural monitoring works. And since I'd figured out certain things, they stopped targeting me. I went with 4 years of having maddening voices in my head. It was, especially since I was not going with the program. I fought this thing at every step that I could, including learning how the NSA is doing this. So, boom, I've been free of voices for 6 years now because they're scared crapless of me. However, I did not stop my research there. So I would like to backtrack and describe how it works. I gotta leave my Easter eggs with my friends here. If something were to happen to me, my good old buddy Angel, he's gonna go and make sure people know this information. Push this episode. Dead whistleblower. So
Dead whistleblower that goes by one letter, V, had this to say.
Yeah,
before we found his corpse. It's another
Exactly.
tough one.
So essentially, before I said the chemtrails that they're spraying on us with all the nano aluminum, the minerals, and the metallic nanoparticles are dumping on us, how it's basically lacing our neural pathways, and that's how they're able to track us, how to monitor us. But I've gotten deeper into the science, and I've found some amazing things. Now, you, as a ufologist, will appreciate this because I don't know how you feel about NASA, but I know you know a lot about NASA.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
They're involved. I'm just first off, the parties that are involved. You got the NSA, you got DARPA, you got the National Reconnaissance Office, you got NASA, who are all complicit in this ordeal, in this illegal harassment of people. So I had to backtrack, and I followed the science. You know, they say follow the money. I followed the science, and if anybody wants to go through this with us tonight, if you want to open up a second browser while you're listening, and go to was it ncbi.nih.gov?
Okay.
It's the government, the official government website that for science. So
Okay.
everything that's on that site is something of a matter of fact. It doesn't get more.
Right. It's gone through the scientific process.
Yeah, it's more official than your peer-reviewed journals. Okay.
Okay.
So if you guys want to do that site and follow me with this stuff, you can. Because people complain that, oh, the government's not transparent. The government's not transparent. Well, yes, they are. Americans are so spoiled, they just want to be spoon-fed.
Correct. That's very true.
It's there. You just have to go and look for it.
Mm-hmm.
So this site, you can essentially, just by going through the random pages on any kind of science, it's more horrifying than reading, you know, a Stephen King novel. It's horrifying when you see what the things that they are trying to do, and they make it sound like it's totally beneficial to humanity. When
Mm-hmm.
essentially they're screwing with everything so much, they're just gonna unravel reality at some point.
That's very true. Yeah.
But anyways, if you guys want to follow through and look up some of these terms, you can. And this is, by the way, going to be part of the format for my show in the future. I'm going to research while doing the show, so we can talk and speculate, and see where we can end up with this thing. But this thing goes further than mind control. This thing goes into transhumanism. And I'll explain. So, let me start by saying global warming is a hoax. How does that tie into anything? Well, that's the start of it. Global warming is a hoax. I'm not saying that temperatures aren't rising and things like that. There may be actual warming happening. However, it's not natural. It is artificial. And no, it's not because you're driving your cars too much. That's a lie. All that's a lie. The reason why we have global warming is because of something called ionospheric heaters. You know what that is. HARP. There's like 24 or 28 HARP facilities around the world. This is what people don't know. Everybody blames HARP for the earthquakes and the tsunamis and the hurricanes, which they would be right, because there's always HARP is supposed to be shut down. That's what the government keeps telling us, just shut down. However, you get these spikes of energy from HARP right before these disasters happen, these natural disasters. So
natural.
right. So the thing about ionospheric heaters, these antenna arrays, they're blasting the ionosphere with frequencies, which then excites all the electrons in the atmosphere that it hits, and the excitation of the electrons causes heat.
Correct.
So there's a reason why it's called ionospheric heater.
Right.
So,
now, one step further, V, and this is something that I don't know if it's part of what you're going to get to, but our brain works with electrons. And I am sure some of the HARP program is also dedicated to heat the human brain, maybe mutated. And this is why maybe some of us are coming out dumber and dumber every generation. A little bit of that HARP heating the brain, mutating the genes. Hey,
I'm gonna get into that.
It's easier to sell that than Guam flipping over, like Hank Johnson in Congress said. Could Guam flip over? Is that a possibility? No, you idiot. There's no way the island is going to just flip over. Come on. These are the people they elect in Georgia. I'm just saying, stay away from Georgia.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to drive through there eventually.
Uh, when you have a chance, listen to the beginning of the show. I played the actual clip of him saying that in Congress, and he proposed it to an actual general in the army. as a legit question. Like he wasn't joking. This was an actual question this
Yeah,
man
yeah.
asked, and I asked myself, these are our elected leaders. Oh Jesus, please save us. Anyway, continue.
All right, all right, all right, Cuban Art Bell. Let's get through this.
uh,
In
come
case
on,
people don't know, that's
Richard.
my nickname for Angel here. He's the Cuban Art Bell. Uh, so okay, so we have the ionosphere heaters. Now, you have the geoengineering, right? That's supposed to
Hmm.
fix the planet, however many convoluted ways they think we're going to believe. Uh, spraying aluminum in the atmosphere.
That sounds like
You
a
know,
good
what
good
goes
idea.
up,
Yeah.
the thing is, what goes up must come
Hmm.
down. Even
Right.
though they've lied and said, oh, no, it stays up in the atmosphere. No, it doesn't. Goes up, must come down at some point. So we breathe all the stuff in, all these nanoparticles. Now, what's more? Now, you have something called a squid device. Okay? NASA developed this thing, squid device. It's a super quantum uh, interference device. Um, so essentially, if you don't want to memorize that phrase, they're also called magnometers, which is a lot easier to remember.
Magnometers.
Magnometers.
Okay.
NASA developed this.
Okay.
The thing about these squid devices or the magnometers is that uh, they can be used in like as an MRI machine, basically.
Okay.
Uh, it, it is used to well for MRI reasons, I guess you would say.
So
However,
there's a
this
medical
thing,
use for it
well,
as well.
this thing is huge. This thing can take up just to have it strapped to someone's head. I mean, it could take. It's about the size of a jacuzzi.
Okay.
I mean, it's just
Wow,
huge.
that's pretty big.
This
Yeah.
this thing that they can strap to your head. Now, the thing about these devices, why it's so big, is because it has to operate the actual. This is just an enclosure. The actual device has to be in a vacuum
Okay.
and be at zero temperature. Okay, that's why this device is so big. It's got coolants in it. It's a void of space where the device is. Very expensive thing to create and operate, which is why the populace doesn't know they exist. But it can be used like an MRI machine, something that's probably even better. Now, the thing about these squid devices, these magnometers, they can pick up, they can detect and interact with a magnetic field that is 100 billion times smaller than the magnetic field it takes to move a needle and a compass.
Okay.
Now,
That's
why am I
interesting.
talking?
So,
Why am I talking about this? Why am I talking about this? Because NASA created it,
right.
and guess what? They're in all the satellites.
So we're basically talking about nanotechnology in a sense.
No, no, no. This is just a huge. Okay,
Right, but
so
it's built with nanotechnology and makes a huge component. Is that kind of where
no,
we're getting? No, okay,
no. It's actually a relatively simple device that uses the Josephson equation, which
okay,
basically it's so sensitive. Uh, uh, it's very hard to explain. Uh,
uh,
Try to keep
okay.
it as simple as possible.
Yeah, yeah. Let's do that.
Well, so,
I'm sure my audience could do a little homework here after the show. So,
okay. So
okay,
if a magnetometer or a squid device is so hard to operate and maintain on Earth, where's a better place you can put it that is cold, zero temperature,
hmm,
and that has vacuum put out in space?
right.
So now
Could
these
the
satellites.
moon be a place also that sends up?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Could the moon be a place where a device like this could be also placed?
I don't see why not. The range on this thing doesn't matter. When
Okay.
you're talking about magnetic fields,
Uh huh.
you're essentially, and what we're talking about right now is quantum biology, essentially.
Right.
When I start making these connections, which is pretty much a new field of science, the newest, is quantum biology.
Okay.
So this thing doesn't have a range. These satellites will converge their signals.
Okay.
Uh, it's a process called interferometry. So the while the ionosphere is being blasted, it creates these plasma-sized shields or lenses,
Okay.
so to speak. And when the the signal that comes out of the satellite to Earth is electromagnetic, right?
Right.
However, through the process of interferometry, it the beam goes through the plasma-sized ionosphere.
Right.
The electric is stripped off of the signal, so it's no longer electromagnetic; it's just a magnetic signal. Another reason for the incitement of the electrons in the atmosphere. All that gets scattered. So now think about, let's put a pin in that for a moment. Let's go back to the brain, the human brain. So we breathe in all the stuff, the nanomaterials, nano aluminum, strontium, barium, etc., etc., etc. It breaks the blood-brain barrier. Not only does it lace our neural pathways, but it does something else. Now, I put this is some information in my one of my documentaries. Um, we are all born with something called magnetites in our brains, little crystals. It is thought that the magnetites give us some sort of extra sensory for our environment, uh, and for lack of a better word, it's something that's responsible for our psychic abilities. Okay, uh, magnetites. It's in all living, moving creatures. Okay, if it's got a brain, it's got magnetite. Um, so birds migrate to the south, right? Come wintertime, they know where to go because of the magnetites. Experiment was done where some scientists changed the true north polarity to a different direction, and they had these birds in a cage, and then they all started moving in that direction. They would move in any direction where the north part of the magnetic field was. They would move to that part of the cage. So, same thing with turtles, for example. When turtles know when to swim, when and where to swim to have their eggs, hatch their eggs.
Right.
So, magnetite plays a role within the animal kingdom in the living brain. It's not so obvious with us humans because our brains are so complex and we have other concerns other than migrating and mating.
Right. Well,
Well,
the mating part, I think some of us more than others put that as
some more than others. Right.
in categories of one of both the others. But continue.
Right. So it's more than just these aluminum particles lacing your neural pathways, which essentially turning your brain into wetware. You have your own a natural neural network, but now you have an artificial neural network laid on top of your normal neural network. So
Right.
more than that's happening, because I believe the nano that they're dumping on to us, the nano metals, are being used in the same manner as the magnetite. See, the thing about the magnetites, they clump together into these globules. They're called magnetosomes.
Okay.
Okay. These magnetosomes, again, I can only speculate what they're for. I believe it has something to do with extrasensory stuff. Okay. When you have this nano aluminum, I think it's either coating these magnetosomes or completely replacing, which at this point, they turn into aluminum somes. Alumisomes. A word I made up. Hopefully it'll catch on.
Hopefully it'll
But
pick up.
essentially, that's what it would be. Alumisomes, because of the aluminum they're dumping onto us. Now, I've spoken about how the pineal gland, anybody who's drinking fluoride and tap water for more than a year, of course, not only has their personality permanently altered, their intelligence permanently altered, but it acts as an antenna. Because if you know anything about quantum computers and quantum bits and all that stuff, you know that they use crystals to trap information or extract information through processes of, many different processes. One of them is piezoelectricity.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's how your microphone works, for example. How radio works. The signal goes into some crystal matrix and out comes sound.
Right.
So that, I believe, is a way that is done, how they put voices in people's heads. That combined with the neural lacing, because your brain is turned into a transceiver at this point.
Right.
All the metals that they're spraying are all the materials that they're spraying on us, you can find in an electrode. Everything an electrode is made out of, just imagine an electrode, just ground it down into fine nano powder and spray it on you.
Mm-hmm.
Free. So your brain's a transceiver of sorts. That RFID chip that they wanted in all of us, and we said no. Well, we're chipped anyways because of it. So
And remember, some people are now starting to experiment. It's going to probably go further with Neuralink with Elon Musk,
Well,
and that's
the
directly
government,
connecting into the brain.
the government, I think, in order to cover up future crimes, they put out the government is spending billions and just throwing money at this organization, that foundation, this
Right.
science. And it's called the Brain Initiative. But we can get to that later or some other time. But so I want to go back to the. I'm gonna start connecting all of this essentially. When you have the magnetic signal being sent to you, or anybody for that matter, whoever's targeted to the target individual, the signal is undetectable because there's no device that you could buy anywhere that's going to detect magnetic signals
Right.
on the level of and I mean unless you can monitor your brain waves and the neuronal firings, the action potentials. You can monitor that with an EEG. That's fine. But you're not going to pick up the signals by any tech that we can buy that's going to a person's brain because it's magnetic.
Hmm.
So, I mean, there are some things that do pick up, and they're meters, but not on the level of the low
Frequency.
frequency energy that we emit.
Right.
Okay, just to make that clear, this is
Right.
why.
So you'd have to be a heavy duty know-it-all in this department of science to be able to even put this together. So the average layman folk will have no clue how to do this anyway. So
Again, DARPA. You can thank DARPA.
right, right,
So you have this frequency that comes down because our brain waves are detectable by the magnetometer.
right,
Okay, remember, 100 billionth of the magnetic field strength that it would take to move the needle on a compass. So essentially, they can pick up just about any biological creature. They can detect, monitor. It's the technology is called biosensing technology. So again, anybody can check what I'm saying with the government website there. Um, so you got that signal that comes down. The thing about it is, and my research, what I've discovered recently, is something called. Well, actually, let me back up. The magnetosomes that we have in our heads, they do move with the Earth's magnetic field. Okay,
okay,
it does attenuate with the Earth's energy. The Hertz 7.83, 7.84, I believe. Schumann resonance. That's the Mr. Schumann was the one that discovered the frequency of the Earth. Obviously, it's probably 7.4 about. We're being pumped with anywhere you go. You're being pumped with 60 hertz
right,
in America. Other
yep,
places 50, but you're being pumped. The thing about our brains is that our brains tend to want to match frequency that in this environment, and so when that happens, this is called brain entrainment. Now, these magnetosomes, which are these globules that are just free floating, I guess, they move, they twist, but under 60 hertz, they're like this, violently
right,
twisting. Now, that's our current natural state of mind right now.
right.
People people are wondering where all these crazy people coming from. Why is there so much? Why is neurodegeneracy on the rise?
Mm-hmm.
Parkinson's, Alzheimer's.
Cancers, everything's on the rise.
It's exponentially on the rise.
Yeah.
So that's why the government's paying these scientists to tell people that that aluminum does not cause Alzheimer's, but we know that it does. Other scientists who aren't paid has done research and has found the connections. So this is even further on top of their research and my findings. The aluminum is definitely directly responsible. You drink the fluoride in the water, those two things, when they mix together, they make a neurotoxin. Fluoride is already a neurotoxin, but it's a super neurotoxin when you add the aluminum with it.
Right.
So you have neurodegeneracy. Now,
by the way, they also have fluoride in toothpaste.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's not just drinking it. You can't really get away from this stuff.
I have a black tube of charcoal toothpaste, non-fluoridated, no fluoride.
There you go.
my deodorant.
So you're not making your teeth crest clean.
Well, and so I have also aluminum-free deodorant. That's also very important.
Yep.
So I have come across. I'm trying to think of the actual mechanical ways in which the voices actually are able to be broadcasted into someone's head. The thing I found is that there are some. Okay, so ferrous material. Ferrous meaning magnetic. Ferrous material can actually be made to make sounds. You can hear magnetic sounds. You can hear sound through something called the Barkhousing effect.
Right. I've heard that.
Okay, people, look this stuff up. The Barkhousing effect. And so, boom, there's three ways right there that voices can be put into your head remotely.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a lot of complaints I hear from most target individuals is that's not one voice, it's usually two or three.
Right.
And so I know I had three.
Okay.
When this was going on with me, I had three. So I was actually able to interrupt the signal to one of them. I discovered this accidentally. Gosh, well over a decade ago. Well, no, a little under a decade. I was cooking in my apartment. I had to turn on the fan because it was getting real smoky.
Mm-hmm.
That fan, when it was going, was chopping out one of the voices.
That's weird. How does the fan interrupt?
I'm thinking because the motor has something to do with the magnetic field it was putting off. I'm thinking.
Oh, okay. You know, that's funny because that's kind of like the current theory in what happened at Roswell. The crash at Roswell was because by accident the ship didn't do on the radar, and it went down because of a simple thing like radar. So it's like it's the
Radar
thing
took
you
it down.
least expected that expected things to sometimes interfere with things, and you're like, how did that happen? You're like, wait a second. You connect that dot, and you're like, this leads to that, and that's how discoveries happen. So you might be onto something here.
I hope I am. I really hope that I am. So I would like to get this stuff proven. I'm already approaching academic scholars.
Okay.
I've already done a college lecture on this.
Okay.
Not to students, but to professors. So,
okay.
and it's funny. The first time I did it, I was actually talking to a molecular biologist, and it was a very interesting conversation because he didn't want to talk about the science. He wanted to talk about the politics behind science.
Mm-hmm. It makes sense. Scientists are more political than they lead on.
Well, he kept talking about how important. He wanted some sort of proof, some sort of evidence, some sort of papers or something. I led him to the government website. So this is where I got my information from.
Right.
Like, it doesn't get any more official than that. So, I mean, I learned all sorts of things. For example, barium. Oh man, there's so much more to this. Let me try to get this really quickly. Barium, something else they spray on us as well. Barium is used in laboratories and biolabs. They use it to destroy tissue, flesh.
Okay. Wow.
Living creatures. So
That explains Nancy Pelosi's complexion. Continue.
well, that'll explain why people are having more chronic pain with
True.
in general in life. Why people it also affects intelligence. Your brain's made of tissue as well, so there's some degradation there.
Yeah.
Learned all sort. Everything they're spraying on us has a point, has a purpose. The fact that you have these nano aluminums, these other nano metals in you, you've got a problem because they're non-biogenic metals. First off, the springs, non-biogenic. How much more time do we have? Can we go over?
We can go over. Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. So these non-biogenic metals are subject to oxidation.
Okay.
So when you have and the science of nutrition saying, you need more antioxidants. It's really true, even though there are some scientists trying to debate that as false. You need antioxidants. You absolutely do.
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
Because if you have the stuff oxidizing inside of you, it's going to destroy your genetic makeup.
Correct.
These free radicals are going to be breaking off, and your DNA is just in a shooting gallery.
Yeah.
And so, cancer. That's why cancer's on the rise, ladies and gentlemen. Little children should not be getting cancer. It's not the paralyzed that's doing it. No, it's stuff that's being dumped on us that are breathing in. So,
but V, it's not just the stuff that we're breathing in. It's also a lot of this ending up in our food. A lot of these chemicals.
That is true. However, the reason why they're spraying it is because digesting the stuff, the digestion gets rid of most of it. So not a lot of it is going to end up in your bloodstream.
Right.
However, when you breathe stuff in through your lungs, you have these things called alveoli.
Right.
Little millions and billions of little tiny sacs that take oxygen from the air that you breathe in.
Right.
And other stuff that's with the air just goes directly into the bloodstream. So that's why they're spraying us. I've got about 20 minutes left of battery here. Um, so
We could, if you want, we can go to the end of the hour or a little bit over. You want to do that, or
uh,
it
I'd
depends
like
on
to
how
go
much
over.
battery you have. Yeah, I don't know
No,
how
no,
much
no.
battery you
Well,
have. You said.
I've got about 20, 25 minutes.
Okay, good.
All
All
right.
right.
So this is where the transhuman agenda comes in. This is we put a pin in what you said earlier in the show.
Mm-hmm.
But so this is how transhumanism comes in. You
Okay.
we're being hit with these frequencies. We have these non-biogenic metals dumped onto us. Now,
Mm-hmm.
this is going to affect our magneto enzymes. We have something called magneto enzymes in our body. I'm sorry. Metallo enzymes. Did I say that right? Metallo enzymes. I'm going through this too
Close
fast
enough.
in my head. Metallo. We have something called metallo enzymes.
Let's give it a Superman reference here. Metallo.
Yeah, there you go.
Crystals in the Fortress of Solitude.
Yeah.
Uh,
There you go.
Continue.
So, I mean, okay. When you have zinc, when you have iron, these are biogenic metals. We need the stuff in
Mm-hmm.
our bodies to keep us healthy. It's part of our physiology. It's part of our makeup. We have to have
Okay.
the biogenic metals from our environment and our food as sustenance.
Right.
Uh, however, these non-biogenic metals, they have no place in our biology. So what they're doing, and I suspect they're doing this with the microwaves also, why we have to have 5G, is because when you charge an element, uh, giving it like a cation or ion, whatever, it can look like a different element. So when you have these metallo enzymes, you can essentially trick the metallo enzymes into breaking down and digesting one of these non-biogenic metals. You can trick it because it'll look like a different metal.
Right. Makes
So
sense.
I believe this is kind of why we have had so many people, well, so few people really, in reality, come up with Morgellons disease. You're familiar with Morgellons, I'm sure.
Vaguely, but yeah.
Okay, so Morgellons disease is where you get these metallic lesions on your skin,
Mm-hmm.
metallic fibers, hair,
Mm-hmm.
shiny and metallic.
Yeah.
Some have even claimed that they had metallic bugs.
Mm.
These people have been discredited by the medical community as being crazy. Oh, they all have parasitosis. Although you can go to Google of all search engines, and type in Morgellons disease skin, click on images, and you can see the stuff. It's
Right.
real.
Right.
It's absolutely real. So these people are the ones who are rejecting the nano. Their bodies
Okay.
trying to get rid of it.
Now, what do you think they're denying this is a real illness? What do you think there's a denial within the scientific community?
When the establishment wants to pay for science, that's what it
Uh-huh.
does. That's why we
Yeah.
have vaccine issues. Okay, we
Right.
know you and I know the vaccines are bad,
Right.
but they'll
Remember,
pay
I'm
something
playing
to say
layman's
that it's
turn
good.
about here. I'm playing the audience here, so that's a question more from the audience. But it's a legit question they're gonna have. This is a legitimate question. So
Right. Okay. Yeah. And so a lot of it has been passed off as Lyme disease
right,
for those who are not hiding their condition and are vocal about it. Oh no, you just have Lyme disease.
right, yeah,
Which is,
yeah, for different people, yeah,
you know, one government has actually acknowledged Morgellons disease. That's Australia.
hmm
Australia, there's one woman in the country who is now getting disability because of the Morgellons. I had her on my show. The only person in the world that is acknowledged for, and actually the government's wanted to compensate her for it. Anyhow, so the transhuman effect here. You've got everything just tearing your DNA down. The
hmm
cancer, the mental degeneracy, all these elements. Now, modern medicine is not going to be able to fix any of this. However, dun, 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 we've got CRISPR to save the day, right?
right,
We got CRISPR. CRISPR, they're going to offer the cure for everything, all your genetic ailments, all your genetic diseases.
okay,
All the while, they come in the name of benevolence and goodwill, the science for mankind. But you and I both know that any kind of science development that we come up with is used as a weapon first. It's
right,
used by the government covertly.
hmm
So when you got to line up and get that DNA shot from CRISPR because something's wrong with you, they own you at that point. It's not just a situation of just being cured or being treated for something. They now own you. They're writing your DNA. They've already mapped the human genome
oh yeah,
a
yeah.
long time ago. So they know
Oh,
what
and remember in the '80s, Robert Malone uh, spearheaded the mRNA to work directly with the DNA and rewriting it. So they're much more advanced than the then. That was in the '80s, V.
right.
So
Yep.
imagine 2024.
45 years later, 40,
Yeah,
45 years later. Uh, yeah. So they look for things like they're so concerned about who you are because they want to trace your family history. And they want to know things like, well, how many criminals you have in your family, how many activists you have in your family. Is one of the forefathers you're an ancestor, one of the forefathers, because you're a potential terrorist, a
I got the
successional,
face for
a
it. They tell
revolutionary.
me.
So they're gonna slowly edit these things out of us till we become essentially just automatons owned by the
Right,
government. It's not going to be a question of free will because you're going to have as much free will as your DNA is going to allow you to have.
right.
So,
So essentially, this is a form of creating a living matrix without being in a bubble like in the movie.
oh, we're already in the matrix, my man.
Oh, I
uh,
know, but it is going to get even deeper than what we're in now.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
People don't understand. I mean, their privacy is being so violated. It's not just the Wi-Fi. It's not just the devices that are mapping your homes, showing where you are in your homes at all times, because it kind of works like radar, like a Doppler. They know how to use these frequencies. They know where everybody is. They want these microwave emitters, these 5Gs out. They can locate guns. If you got guns, they can locate them if they want to, they can use the active denial system, microwave your gun so you can't even touch it. It's too hot.
Yeah.
Right through your walls.
Yeah.
So there's so much of this technology is going overboard. So I want to go back to the fact that people. Okay. Let's go over the symptoms here. Tinnitus is the number one. Tinnitus.
Okay. Tinnitus.
If you have not been around any explosions or you haven't been at a concert, there's no reason why you should have tinnitus.
Right.
And getting it anyways. That's your mind being read actively. Right. You feel that electrical buzz from ear to ear inside your brain.
Yeah.
That brain
and
fog.
Sometimes you hear that. Bzzz, you hear that.
Yeah. I know, right?
Right.
That's what
right.
that is.
Yeah.
That's what that is. So.
And it's very common. I've heard doing research over the years. I've heard a lot of people comment on that when it comes to targeted individuals. So.
Well, I've been trying to collect evidence. I had been going through different counties see if they had any their human resources, if they had any records of aluminum toxicity within people. It's almost no records anyway.
Okay.
Not that it would be that much of a use to me right now, because the number one reason for the vaccines is to get that nano aluminum into your brain quicker. People do not understand there's nano aluminum in these vaccines. They call it an adjuvant because it makes things work faster. Load of crap, right? A big load of crap. What they're doing is a mass cover-up.
Okay.
If we all have aluminum toxicity from vaccines, we can't prove anything with the chemtrails, right?
Right.
Global.
Makes sense.
A global cover-up. So I'm thankful for those Americans out there who did not take the vaccines. I think I can still compare the data. So if I can, it's evil. it's all evil, man.
It's probably part of. Yeah, it's all part of the cabal. It really is.
The messed up thing is, even though the government has dumped trillions of dollars into chemtrailing us, I should stop saying chemtrailing. Geoengineering is
right.
As soon as you use the word chemtrails, the people try to discredit you and say you're a crazy conspiracist. But geoengineering is real. There's hundreds of pages. I think almost 500 pages on that government website that I mentioned. Yeah. I mean, it's real. People there are foundations. If you want to go down a rabbit hole, look up the scientists on each one of these abstracts. You'll see if they're connected to different organizations, geoengineering organizations, weather control. You've got people trying to alter the chemistry of living beings so that they can tolerate aluminum.
Right.
It's not just the Monsanto plants. They're starting to engineer creatures, animals, insects, microbiology. They're getting all the as many creatures, as many living contributors of our ecosystem. They're trying to re-engineer all of them so they can live essentially in a toxic environment.
Now, why do you think they're doing that? I mean, I know the planet's going through an evolution. It always has and always will. Uh, and I know the target here is to bioengineer the world and humanity. And but what's the end purpose of all this bioengineering?
Because they know Mother Nature is smarter. They make a wrong step and they can just end us all.
Right,
You need
right,
certain things to be living in your environment. That's what makes the ecosystem. One living thing relies on another. So if
right,
they screw us off and we start having problems reproducing and things like that, which is what they want, but they don't want that for the rest of the environment because it's the environment. They have to live somewhere, right? I mean, Agenda 21, they wanted to pack us all into mega cities and take all the rural areas for themselves, right? So it's sort of along those lines. They need to make sure the life will go on because they know what they're messing with is potentially disastrous. It can cause mass extinctions, not just of us, but other things that the environment needs. They could potentially kill
right.
the planet if they don't make a right step. So you can see all these kind of documents uh, all over. As a matter of fact, I challenge anybody listening right now, just pick a page on that site about something and then click 3 more related pages. I promise you'll find a conspiracy.
I
You'll
don't
find
doubt that. Yeah.
you'll find an op that's in the process of being done.
Hmm.
Now there's millions of pages, which again,
Makes it even
makes it
harder to
terrifying.
research it.
It makes it so terrifying to think about. But the information's there. People just have to go and look at it.
Hmm. Now, do you think that um, maybe some of this is being experimented on us and are working on us as guinea pigs for possible colonization of, say, Mars?
Well, when you talk to a target individual, most target individuals will say, "I'm being experimented on."
Okay.
I wouldn't call it an experiment because that's what they do behind closed doors. That's
Right.
why that's why we have these underground military bases. That's
Hmm.
why so many people are going missing every year. Hundreds of thousands of
Right.
people just going missing in a nation that leads the world in surveillance.
And where everybody now has a smartphone, by the way.
I couldn't get lost if I wanted to. I I was in Cali not too long ago. I was going to go to this restaurant, and the restaurant closed down. It was no longer uh, 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 that place of business. It was shut down. So it's like, okay, I'm just going to sit here, on the side of the building and wait for the restaurant across the street to open.
Okay.
I wasn't there for 30 minutes until somebody drove up and said, "Hey, the owner of this property seen you here and he doesn't want you here. You got to go somewhere else." That's my
What?
life. That's my life. Anywhere that I hang out that's not completely public, I get cops calling me nonstop. You loitering, you're not supposed to be here. Or I have somebody telling me to move it along. How
But
I can go missing?
you look so non-threatening, V.
I'm a big
You don't
Jolly
fit
Green.
in. You don't fit. You don't fit any descriptions whatsoever.
Well, I mean, I noticed. I mean, it might be a racial thing too, because I mean, I noticed, especially in California, in the area that I'm at, homelessness is a huge problem. Have you ever
Hmm.
seen any of them being told they have to leave to go somewhere? I've
No,
never
no.
seen it. But with me,
They
it happens everywhere I
usually
go.
they crap on the street and inject heroin to their arms, and the cops walk by and they're like, "Hey, keep
Right.
doing what you're doing. Make sure
But
you wipe
my
really good between the butt cheeks." You know.
but my black ass, I've got to be on something public that's not offending someone. I literally had to go and sit at the bus stop and wait another 5 minutes for that restaurant to open. So it's how people can go missing today's age. It's ridiculous. Now, as far as
Hmm.
colonization on Mars, who knows? I think the government's got all kinds of uh, uh, chimera experiments down in their underground military bases to of creatures to go and abhumans to go and live on another planet. I think it's entirely possible. That's the
No,
story of the Anunnaki, right? The story of the
right.
Anunnaki. They needed gold to
That's
spring
yeah,
in the atmosphere,
yeah,
and they created slaves. Aren't we
right.
doing that all over again?
Well, yeah. If you believe in this, even if you believe in the biblical story that God created life on Earth, but if surely the universe was first, meaning there might have been other living beings already created. So maybe this is the way we spread life to other places, and then we're confused as gods, and that could be what the actual story of creation is. We continue to create based on the biology and environment of the planet we're trying to create life on. Now, Mars is habitable, but not to us. But it doesn't mean if we don't bioengineer a certain race of people or animals that can survive and sustain life on Mars, that's terraforming in a sense, but it's doing it with biology that can sustain life there. And science is a step way ahead of this. We've already acknowledged that there are creatures that could even survive in the vacuum of space. Okay, so the idea that to condition a being or a life form to survive on Mars, it's not that far fetched. It really isn't.
My friend, you're absolutely right.
We'll do a part two here as soon as I have another opening, and we'll have you back on
I want to
because
talk more
it's
about
a fact.
my network. We got to
Yeah,
talk
it's
about
a
you as well.
fascinating story. So before you go, though, I
Yes.
want you to plug the website again, the network, and when are you done your podcast again?
Well, hopefully I'll appear on your network here after the
Right?
holidays.
Okay, good, good.
Red Pill Hardcore Radio Show on PS.
There you go. And if you behave, I'll use my Ouija board and I'll get George to approve from the other side. You join Soul Floor Radio. You're driving around in something that he loves, a Winnebago. A
Exactly.
Winnebago.
Well, but yeah, so guys, tlbtalk.com, it launches in 2 days. July
Cool.
1st, 2024. Find me. I won't be hard to find. Type
Good
NB.
times. Good
All right.
times.
I got to plug
All
this
right,
thing in before it
V.
shuts off.
Let's go ahead and end the show for tonight, everybody. This is Inside the Jackal's Head. We went over a little bit because it's a fascinating topic here that we're talking about. Bioengineering of planets and our brains and our environments. Folks, HARP is just the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot more to talk about. We're going to have V back on soon. So please stick around when we have him on. Again, please check out the website, angelespino.com, for more info on myself, the show, and when I'm on, which is simple, Sunday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern, every week on psn-radio.blogspot.com and soflowradio.com. And of course, my personal site, again, angelespino.com. And if you angel investors, make sure you hit up patreon.com/angelespino. Drop in your $2, $3. Every dollar helps, and it'll be greatly appreciated. Till next time, my friends, this is Inside the Jackal's Head.
Motorboat? You play the motorboat?